Apple TV 4K, not 2026, 2027, and this time it may not be a small update. New chip, better gaming, smarter home control, better Wi-Fi, maybe even a camera, but the real reason is bigger. Apple is changing, Tim Cook is stepping back, John Ternus is taking over, and he is a hardware guy. So the next Apple TV may finally get real hardware love, not just a faster box, a better box. And near the end, I'll tell you the release window from the sources. Yes, 2027, not 2026. And I know what you're thinking. Why is Apple waiting? Why not just release it now? Well, the simple answer is this. Apple has bigger things first. iPhone is still number one. That is Apple's main product. That is where the money is. That is where the big events are. So if Apple has to pick between iPhone and Apple TV, Apple will pick iPhone first. Every time. But that does not mean Apple TV is dead. Not at all. It just means Apple TV may be waiting for the right moment. And that moment could be 2027. Now here is where it gets interesting. Apple is changing. Tim Cook is stepping back. John Ternus is taking over. And John Ternus is not just a normal business guy. He is a hardware guy. He comes from Apple's hardware engineering team. That means chips, design, cooling ports, body, inside layout, real product stuff. So if a hardware guy is taking over Apple, what do you think he will care about? Hardware. Better hardware. And that is exactly what Apple TV needs. Because let's be honest, Apple TV is good, but it is not exciting right now. It works. It is fast. It plays movies. It opens apps. Cool. But most people are not saying, I need a new Apple TV right now. Nobody talks like that. So Apple has to make it more useful, not just faster, more useful. And that is why 2027 makes sense. More time.
Better chip, better gaming.
Better smart home. Better Wi-Fi. Maybe camera. Maybe new design. Now let's compare this properly. Because this is where Apple TV 4K 2027 starts to make sense. First, the chip. If Apple waits until 2027, it does not need to use old hardware. It could use a 18-level power. Maybe even something newer. And that matters. Because Netflix does not need a crazy chip. YouTube does not need it. Disney Plus does not need it. A cheap Roku can play those apps. A Fire TV stick can play those apps. Even your smart TV can do that. So if Apple puts a strong chip inside Apple TV, it means Apple wants this box to do more. Not just streaming, gaming, smart home, FaceTime, AI features, faster apps, better long-term performance. That is the real reason. Now compare it with Roku. Roku is good. Roku is cheap. Roku is easy. You open apps. You watch content. Done. That is fine. But Roku is still mainly a streaming box. Apple TV 2027 could be more than that. Roku helps you watch TV. Apple TV could control the room, your lights, your speakers, your cameras, your AirPods, your iPhone, your HomePods, your smart home. That is the difference. Roku is cheaper. Apple TV could be smarter. Now let's talk gaming. No, Apple TV will not kill PlayStation. Relax. PlayStation is still better for serious gaming. If you play heavy games every day, you will still want a PS5. But not everyone needs that. Most people are casual gamers. They play sometimes with family, with friends on the couch. For those people, Apple TV could be enough. Apple Arcade, controller games, racing games, family games, maybe some bigger games later. So for normal users, Apple TV could remove the need for a separate console. Not for hardcore gamers. For casual users, one small box. Movies, shows, games, FaceTime, smart home. That is a strong idea. Now RAM. Most people do not care about RAM. That's fine. But people do care when apps feel slow. They care when games lag. They care when the box feels old after 2 years. More RAM helps with that. Apps stay open. Games run smoother. Smart home actions respond faster. The box lasts longer. So if Apple gives Apple TV 4K 2027 more RAM, that would be useful. Not flashy, but useful. Now Wi-Fi. I know, Wi-Fi sounds boring. But for Apple TV, it matters a lot. This thing sits in your living room. It streams 4K. It uses AirPlay. It connects to AirPods. It works with HomePod. It controls smart home devices. So better Wi-Fi means fewer problems, less buffering, less delay, better AirPlay, better gaming, better daily use. If Apple adds Wi-Fi 7, that would be a real upgrade. Not a sexy feature, but a feature you feel every day. Now smart home, this could be the biggest upgrade because Apple TV is already in the perfect place. It is always at home. It is always plugged in. It connects to your TV. It connects to your Apple ID. So why not make it the brain of the house? Lights, cameras, locks, doorbells, speakers, sensors. All of that could connect through Apple TV. Imagine this. You sit down at night. You say movie mode. Apple TV turns on the TV, dims the lights, connects your AirPods, opens the movie. That is useful. That is not a gimmick. That is something people would actually use. Now compare it with a normal smart TV. Smart TVs already have apps, but many smart TVs get slow. Menus lag, ads show up, updates stop. Search feels messy? Apple TV fixes that. Clean interface, better speed, better privacy, longer support, better Apple connection. That is why people still buy Apple TV even when their TV already has apps. Now camera. This is not confirmed, But Apple has looked at this idea before, and honestly, it makes sense. FaceTime on TV should be easy. Right now, you can use your iPhone as the camera. It works. But it feels messy. You place the phone, fix the angle, hope it does not fall. A built-in camera would be better. You sit on the couch, call family. Done. No phone stand, no setup, no weird angle. And if Apple adds gestures, that could be cool too. Raise your hand to pause, swipe through menus, accept a call. Simple things, but useful things. That is how Apple TV can feel new, not just faster. New. Now let's talk design. I don't think Apple needs to make it look crazy. Apple TV should stay small, clean, simple, easy to place anywhere. But if the chip gets stronger, Apple may need better cooling, maybe a slightly new body, maybe better ports, maybe a better remote, maybe a more premium look. Nothing too wild, just enough to feel fresh. Because right now, Apple TV looks fine, but it does not look exciting. And if 2027 is Apple's new hardware era, Apple TV should look like it belongs in that era. Now here is the big question. Why 2027? Why not 2026? Because 2026 is still about transition. Tim Cook is stepping back. John Ternus is taking over. Apple will still focus on iPhone first. That is the big product. That is the main priority. So Apple TV can wait. But waiting may actually help it, because if Apple launches too early, it may just be a small refresh, a faster chip, a tweaked remote. Same story. But if Apple waits for 2027, it can give Apple TV a real upgrade. Better chip, more RAM, Wi-Fi 7, better gaming, smarter home control, maybe camera, maybe new design. That sounds better. That sounds like a product people may actually care about. Now, before I reveal the release window, comment your answer. Do you want Apple TV to stay simple? Or do you want it to become a full living room hub? Because this is the main question. Should Apple TV just play movies? Or should it control everything? Your TV, your games, your home, your car apps, your Apple devices. I think Apple wants the second option, and that is why this upgrade matters. Now let's talk release window. Apple has not given an exact date, so anyone saying confirmed exact date is guessing. But based on the leadership change and Apple's normal product timing, the 2027 fall window makes the most sense for the bigger Apple TV 4K upgrade. Why fall? Because fall is when Apple tells the big ecosystem story: iPhone, Apple Watch, AirPods, software, services, and Apple TV fits perfectly there. It connects with iPhone, it connects with AirPods, it connects with HomePod, it connects with Apple services, it connects with the living room. So if Apple wants to bring a serious Apple TV 4K upgrade, fall 2027 is the window to watch. Not confirmed, but it makes the most sense. Now here is the simple version. Apple TV 4K is not dead. Apple did not forget it. Apple may just be waiting. 2026 is iPhone, and transition 2027 could be the real hardware year. John Ternus is a hardware guy, and Apple TV needs better hardware. So instead of another boring update, Apple could give us a real living room upgrade. A stronger chip, more RAM, more Wi-Fi, better gaming, smarter home control, maybe a camera, maybe a better design. That is what Apple TV needs. Because everything can play Netflix now. Your TV can do it. Your console can do it. Your phone can do it. A cheap stick can do it. So Apple TV has to become more than a Netflix box. It has to become the Apple box for your whole living room. Movies, games, FaceTime, smart home, AirPods, HomePod, iPhone, everything. That is the real Apple TV 4K 2027 story. And if Apple actually does this, waiting one more year may be worth